The entire production was moving like a perfectly synchronized machine. Hundreds of people were working together. Cameras were ready. Lights illuminated the massive set. Costume designers made final adjustments. Directors reviewed the next scene. Assistants hurried between departments carrying schedules and production notes. Everything was prepared. Everything was on time. Everything was moving exactly according to plan. Then suddenly everything stopped. Not because of a technical failure. Not because of bad weather. Not because of an accident. Instead, according to the story, production came to a complete standstill after Tian Xiwei refused to wear a costume that had already become the center of intense debate behind the scenes. What happened next would leave cast members shocked, crew members whispering in confusion, and executives scrambling to find a solution. The real story was far more dramatic than anyone expected, and the deeper people looked into the situation, the more fascinating it became. The production itself was one of the most anticipated projects of the year. Months of preparation had gone into every detail. The set looked breathtaking. Entire streets had been recreated inside enormous studios. Elegant buildings stretched across the filming location. Every prop had been carefully selected. Every costume had been designed to match the world of the story. The budget was enormous. The expectations were even bigger. Everyone involved understood how important the project was. That morning began like countless filming days before it. The crew arrived before sunrise. Large trucks unloaded equipment. Makeup artists prepared their stations. Hair stylists organized supplies. Directors reviewed storyboards while production assistants checked schedules. The atmosphere felt energetic and optimistic. People were excited. The day included one of the most important scenes in the entire production. Executives expected it to become one of the most memorable moments of the series. The scene required the lead character to appear in a newly designed costume that had been created specifically for a major turning point in the story. The costume represented power, transformation, growth. At least that was the intention. But not everyone viewed it the same way. As preparations continued, a quiet debate began spreading through different departments. Some crew members admired the design. Others felt uncertain about it. Several people privately questioned whether it truly fit the character. Yet nobody expected the discussion to become a major issue. After all, costume disagreements happen on productions all the time. Most are resolved quickly. Most never become significant. This situation would be different. Inside the costume department, tension quietly began building. Designers carefully arranged fabrics. Assistants checked accessories. Everyone waited for the fitting session. The room looked beautiful. Colorful garments filled clothing racks. Detailed embroidery reflected the overhead lights. Months of work were visible in every stitch. The costume at the center of attention occupied a special place in the room. It was impossible to ignore. Even before anyone spoke about it, people noticed it immediately. Its appearance commanded attention. Its design made a statement. And, according to this story, it quickly became clear that not everyone agreed with that statement. When Tian Xiwei arrived for the fitting, the atmosphere remained calm, professional, respectful. She greeted staff members warmly and reviewed the day's schedule. Nothing appeared unusual at first. Then the costume was revealed. The room became noticeably quieter. Several people watched carefully. Others pretended to focus on different tasks while secretly observing reactions. The moment felt important. The kind of moment everyone remembers later. Tian Xiwei examined the costume closely. She studied every detail, every fabric choice, every decorative element, every design decision. Minutes passed. Nobody rushed her. Nobody interrupted. The room remained silent. Then came the response nobody expected. According to the narrative, she politely expressed concerns. Not anger, not hostility, concerns. She reportedly felt the costume did not accurately represent the character she had spent months developing. That statement immediately changed everything. The discussion began respectfully. Designers explained their vision. Creative staff described the symbolism behind the costume. Everyone presented thoughtful arguments. The conversation remained professional. Yet the disagreement continued. The more they discussed the design, the more obvious it became that finding common ground would not be easy. Meanwhile, outside the costume department, production schedules continued moving forward. Camera crews prepared equipment. Actors rehearsed scenes. Lighting technicians completed final adjustments. Nobody realized the entire day's filming was about to face a serious challenge. Inside the fitting room, discussions became increasingly detailed. Creative perspectives collided. One side focused on visual impact. The other focused on character authenticity. Neither perspective was unreasonable. Neither perspective lacked merit. That was what made the situation so complicated. Everyone believed they were protecting the story. Everyone believed they were making the right decision. As time passed, word began spreading throughout the production. Crew members exchanged curious looks. Whispers moved from one department to another. Questions multiplied. Why was the fitting taking so long? What was happening? Would filming begin on schedule? Nobody seemed to know. The uncertainty created a strange atmosphere across the entire set. People continued working. Yet attention drifted toward the growing mystery. The director was eventually called into the discussion. Then producers. Then senior creative staff. What had begun as a costume fitting transformed into a major production meeting. The stakes suddenly felt much higher. This was no longer simply about clothing. It had become a debate about storytelling itself. The director listened carefully. Designers defended their creative vision. Writers discussed character development. Everyone presented passionate arguments. The room felt charged with emotion. Not because people were fighting, because people cared. They cared deeply about the project. They cared about getting every detail right. That passion made the discussion even more intense. Hours passed. The production schedule began falling behind. Crew members waited for updates. Actors remained in holding areas. Assistants checked revised timelines again and again. Outside, the massive set stood ready. Inside, uncertainty continued growing. For many employees, the situation became surreal. Hundreds of people had spent months preparing for this day. Yet everything now depended on a single unresolved decision. Would the costume remain unchanged? Would it be redesigned? Would filming proceed? Or would production stop entirely? The pressure increased with every passing minute. Then something remarkable happened. According to this story, instead of forcing a quick solution, the creative team decided to step back and reconsider everything. The costume was re-examined. Character motivations were reviewed. Storyboards were studied again. For the first time, everyone looked beyond the design itself and focused on a larger question. What truly served the story best? That shift changed the conversation completely. The debate stopped being about winning or losing. It became about collaboration. The atmosphere softened. People listened more carefully. New ideas emerged. Alternative concepts appeared. Solutions that previously seemed impossible suddenly became realistic. The costume department worked rapidly. Sketches covered tables. Designers exchanged suggestions. Writers provided feedback. Directors evaluated options. The energy inside the room transformed from conflict into creativity. Hours later, a revised design began taking shape. The new version preserved many elements of the original concept while addressing concerns about character consistency. It was not identical to the first costume, nor was it a complete replacement. It represented compromise, the result of passionate professionals working together toward a common goal. When the updated design was finally presented, anticipation filled the room. Everyone waited. The moment felt surprisingly emotional. Weeks of effort, hours of discussion, an entire production schedule hanging in the balance. Everything had led to this point. The revised costume was revealed. Silence followed. Then smiles slowly appeared. Relief spread throughout the room. The atmosphere changed instantly. The tension that had dominated the day finally disappeared. People nodded. Conversations resumed. Energy returned. The production could move forward. Outside, news spread quickly across the set. Filming would continue. Schedules were updated. Equipment was prepared. Actors returned to rehearsal. Crew members returned to their positions. The giant machine of production began moving once again. Yet something had changed. The experience left a lasting impression on everyone involved. It reminded them that filmmaking is not simply about following schedules. It is about collaboration. It is about creativity. It is about people working together to tell the strongest story possible. Sometimes that process is smooth. Sometimes it is challenging. Sometimes it requires difficult conversations. But those conversations often lead to better results. As filming finally began later that day, the atmosphere felt different from the morning. More appreciative, more united, more determined. The delays had been frustrating. The uncertainty had been stressful. Yet many people quietly felt the process had been worthwhile. The production moved forward with renewed confidence. The cameras rolled. The lights illuminated the set. The actors stepped into character. And the story continued. Looking back, the most fascinating part of this fictional tale was not the costume itself. It was what the situation revealed. It revealed how much people cared about the project. It revealed the importance of artistic integrity. It revealed the value of speaking up when something feels wrong. Most importantly, it revealed the power of collaboration. Great productions are not created by one person. They are created by teams. Teams willing to listen. Teams willing to adapt. Teams willing to put the story first. That lesson remained long after filming ended. And perhaps that is why the story continues capturing attention. Not because of controversy, not because of conflict, but because it reminds us that some of the most important moments happen behind the scenes. The moments when creative people challenge ideas, defend their vision, and work together to create something better than anyone could achieve alone. What do you think about this behind-the-scenes story? Would you have supported changing the costume, or should the original design have remained unchanged? Share your thoughts in the comments. Join the discussion with fellow drama fans. Share this article with friends who love entertainment stories, and stay connected for more fascinating behind-the-scenes features and creative industry mysteries.